Hello, everybody. How are you all doing today? It's time for more E3 conferences.
Yeah,
We did Sony's, which is
we
pretty
did.
alright. It's pretty alright. Now we're moving on to Nintendo, which I think, according to the playlist that I have here, assuming it's doing it chronologically, should be next in this for 2003.
Yeah, I'm kind of excited to see because this is going to be when we see a lot of, I guess, what people could decide to be like classic GameCube games.
Most likely. In fact, this is gonna this I kind of want to say something concerning what I believe was 2002 Nintendo, because like I said, Megan and I took a bit of time between Nintendo and like the other ones, like about a year, funnily enough, right? From
Yeah,
what I checked. And we gave 2002 to Sony, but honestly, when I went back and I looked at Nintendo 2002, I kind of think Nintendo may have taken it for me because they had a lot more games. Like I think they had Wind Waker and they showed off um Eternal Dark. Was it Eternal Darkness? That's the name of the game, right?
I think so. Yeah,
And I think they showed off like a few other things. I was like, I think Luigi's Mansion as
I
well.
believe so.
And I was like, damn, that's actually a really good year. So I may actually go and retract my statement that Sony won 2002. I think Nintendo actually won 2002, to be honest.
I mean, that's fair. They had a good lineup. I'm personally still going to stay with Sony just because I think they had a lot of really good stuff, but we're okay to disagree.
I mean, yeah, I think we disagreed in every. I mean, there's no way we agreed every single one of these years so far. So you know.
Well, I'd be very surprised if we did, aside from I want to say it was 98. I think we both agreed Nintendo won that year because they had a lot of really good stuff.
Yeah, like I think we've been agreeing overall. It's just I doubt we're gonna agree with every year. We got so many more years to go through, and I
Yeah,
know we're gonna split. Like, and to be fair, like with 2002 and Sony, that was Jack and Daxter's year, right? Was it Jack and Daxter's year? I'm pretty sure it was.
I think it was, yeah.
So that doesn't surprise me that you're like, whoa.
It's a really good game, okay? It's probably, if not the first, one of the first PS2 games I'd ever played. Because it was among the 6 or so, whatever, that my dad got me when we got our PS2.
Yeah.
And I played it a lot. I just never finished it as a kid because I was dumb.
So, for some reason, OBS is telling me encoding overloaded. I'm not too sure why. So I'm just gonna make sure this isn't absolutely screwed. So I'm just gonna, because I know
Yep.
sometimes OBS lies. So I'm just gonna do a quick cut here. So I'll be like 1 second, and then I'll continue my stuff. Okay, sorry about that. For some reason, I don't know why it doesn't like it when no video is playing. I don't really understand that. Um, because even now it's saying like encoding overload, but I don't know why. So anyway, but we did a quick test and it does fine during the video.
Yeah.
So this video is uploaded by Cars Lock. May 13th, Kodiak Theater. Well, I'm not gonna look at games shown because that'd be
I was gonna say,
spoilers.
that's spoilers.
I also realized I didn't do something at the start of the Sony press conference that I tried to
Oh.
remember doing, but didn't end up doing. And that was kind of the general like stats for that year's E3, and
Hmm.
just like general information. Because I kept trying to remind myself, okay, when we get back to it, I gotta do that, I gotta do that, I gotta do that. So at E3 2003, so this one is still held in LA, right? That's it. It's gonna be held in LA for a while at the Los Angeles Convention Center. Um, 2002, from what I remember, there were no numbers released, I guess, for the attendance. But for 2003, we have about 60,000 people,
Okay.
which is down only about 2,000 from the previous year. So numbers growing still, essentially, right?
Yeah.
The main presenters are still Microsoft, Nintendo, Sony. That isn't really gonna change for a while. I think we're probably gonna see that for the next long time with this. So
I
yeah.
mean, from what I recall, I don't think other developers started doing their own conferences until I want to say around like the Wii PS3 era, so we probably won't see that kind of stuff until like 2008, 2009, 2010, somewhere around there.
Probably.
Because a lot of them weren't big enough. But yes, I'm good.
I mean, that is true. A lot of companies individually weren't really big enough. You kind of just had like the big three, but then later on you'd get Ubisoft and like Bethesda,
Devolver Digital.
Even EA would like have its own occasionally.
Yeah.
I think. I still don't know if we're gonna do any of those. I'm still heavily debating like what we're gonna do with that in particular, because they're not, to me, they're not as important, and they're usually all very boring. Apart from Devolver Digital, I don't know. Maybe for the sake of Devolver Digital, we'll throw it in.
I like the Devolver Digital ones, but yeah, I kind of agree that, like, at least in my experience, Bethesda, Ubisoft, and EA have all been kind of boring, especially Ubisoft.
True, but then again, we get Todd Howard with Bethesda.
That's true. That might be kind of fun just for Bethesda. But
yeah, the Peter Molyneux of the modern gaming era.
That's gonna be interesting when we get there.
Okay, so we ready?
Yeah.
All right. Is it muted? Hold on. I do have it.
I was gonna say, I don't hear anything.
I accidentally muted it. Okay, hold on. That redo.
From Hollywood,
There you go.
Welcome to the 2003 E3 kickoff, hosted by the world-renowned king of video games, Nintendo. And here to get us going is Nintendo of America's George Harrison.
Okay, hold on. It's still saying encoding overloaded. This is it's just bothering me. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Just be one more sec. Okay, sorry about that. Megan and I think we have the issue sorted. It seemed like Discord had some stuff turned on which was affecting it, because I'm still streaming it to Megan through Discord.
Yeah.
Even though we could probably do it in the same room now, just because I do have two mics. Which one day we should test, but you know.
Yeah, maybe another day though.
Maybe
unless we're still having issues with this.
Yeah. But right now, it looks like it's fine. Megan says it looks good on her end, so
yeah,
it's fine. We'll see how things go. All right, so now we're actually gonna start.
From Hollywood, California. Welcome to the 2003 E3 kickoff, hosted by the world-renowned king of video games, Nintendo. And here
The king of video games.
Nintendo of America's George Harrison.
See, it's funny they say that because I've never heard of George Harrison personally.
I think I have.
Well, thank you, everybody, and welcome to Nintendo's E3 Media Briefing. We have a great show for you at E3 this year, and we're glad you could spend.
I might be thinking of the singer though.
Learning about our products. Our goals today
maybe.
are to first update you on the state of our business and some of our corporate direction and initiatives. Then we want to share with you some of our perspective on the industry and strategies. Finally, we're going to show you the product, which of course I know is what you're all here for. And then at the end, we're going to answer a few of your questions, because I know there are many. Now, the news for Nintendo in this 2003 has been very, very positive. This chart shows the unit shares for next generation hardware from January to March. And as you can see, Nintendo gained 10 share points.
Show us the chart, cameraman.
Yeah, it's gonna be kind of one thing. It seems like for Nintendo, they still maybe didn't have like. Well, I think even in Sony, we didn't have like we still had dude in the. Oh, no, that one was a bit more of an actual production.
It was like a PowerPoint presentation they did, yeah. I don't know. If this is a press meeting, they probably have booklets and stuff they can look at. So.
Go back and look at the U.S. market again, and just look at March system sales, including Game Boy and Game Boy Advance and Gamecube and all the hardware systems. In March, almost 60% of all the hardware sold were Nintendo systems. Now that's consumers speaking with their cash. The story on software is just as powerful. If you look at this chart, it shows you the tie ratios for the home consoles, and you can see that at just under 10, Nintendo was in a very strong position with GameCube. And of course, if we look at the top-selling games for the first quarter, it comes as no surprise, Nintendo garnered 3 of the top 4 spots in the bestseller list.
That wouldn't surprise me.
Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker, and Pokemon
Yeah.
Ruby, and Pokemon Sapphire.
Yeah,
So let's take a look at those key launches for us in March and give you a little bit of an update. Zelda the Wind Waker has already sold over 1 million copies in just 8 weeks. Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire.
1,000,000 copies, that's quite a lot for this time period.
That is quite a bit, yeah.
And Game Boy SP has sold through to over 950,000 consumers.
The good old Game Boy SP.
Hat trick for us in March.
Yeah, that's my Game Boy. I have the blue SP.
So the net of all this success is this.
It's funny, because I think my dad bought me one in 2003, because he bought it for my 10th birthday, if I remember correctly.
Oh, there you go.
Taking 2 points from Microsoft and 9 points from Sony. Now, at the same time, we're happy with the success, but we recognize that changes are needed. And many of these changes are already underway. But what won't change is our commitment to our
Heard someone with a phone.
and our special talent
I heard that.
inventing and reinventing the world's best video game franchise characters.
Caught on tape forever.
And we do insist that each installment of a franchise be better than the last. But our characters will remain true. Donkey Kong will remain a lovable ape.
Not for you.
Link will never
Well, no,
lose hope.
actually, yeah. No, you do own Donkey Kong. I forgot about that.
Will never start shooting hookers.
Yeah.
For some reason.
I mean, to
Mar-
be fair, like, after the GameCube era, I don't think they've released as many Donkey Kongs.
I mean, I think that's true. I don't know. For some reason, I just was like, Donkey Kong Rare got bought out. But I forgot Nintendo owns Donkey Kong. I don't know why I forgot about that. I don't know why that slipped my mind.
It happens.
I'm just dumb. But anyway, I want to hear what he says here again, because it's
Link will
pretty
never lose hope.
right.
Donkey Kong will remain a lovable ape. Link will never lose hope. And of course, Mario will never start shooting hookers.
Mario will never start shooting hookers. I never thought I'd hear
Wow.
anyone at Nintendo say Mario shooting and hookers in the same sentence.
So this year,
I'm actually surprised. I wonder if Nintendo was really mad about this after the presentation.
show is Mario Kart.
Well, it definitely seems like a shot at like both Xbox and PlayStation's general gameplay styles, right?
But this time, each
Yeah,
character
no,
will
for
control two
sure.
characters. One character to drive and one to torment their enemies.
Double dash.
Although not, yeah. Although not gonna lie, if Nintendo ever made like a Mario quote unquote shooter game, whether it be like third person or first person, I think it'd be interesting. I just know it'll never happen.
That would be pretty cool. Be different. Man, so Double Dash, I just want to say with Double Dash, this is definitely a goated Mario title. Same with Pikmin 2.
Yeah.
My thoughts on Pikmin 2 has always been very... I guess I'll just pause, because why not, right? Because if you have something to say, I don't want to interrupt you, right?
Yeah.
Or like talk over you. You have anything you want to say about Double Dash?
I've heard Double Dash is one of the most unique and interesting Mario games. I did play a little bit of it when I played it at my neighbor's house, because again, I don't own a lot of Nintendo games.
Mm-hmm.
But it's been one of those games where, like, I would love to pick it up to play with you. I can't justify spending like $80 to $100 on it.
It is very expensive now, yeah.
So, like, I don't know if they ever release a remake or if I can get a decent price on it, because I would pay about $60. That's like my upper limit. I just don't know if I'll ever get that. Because I think it'd be fun and I think it'd be interesting. I'd be curious if they would ever do another Mario Kart kind of like Double Dash, though.
It'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Now, I know you probably don't have anything to say on Pikmin 2, because you haven't played any of the Pikmin games yet, as of this recording.
I have not.
But my experience with Pikmin 2, very good game, very classic, but when I was younger, I didn't really like it, because I felt it was too weird, not having the kind of time pressure mechanic. Like, I really liked that from Pikmin 1, where it's like, you only have 30 days. Right? So not having that felt really strange, and I didn't really like that too much. But now I'm sure if I played, I would probably absolutely love it, because I am much less of an idiot like that.
I don't know if I would say you're an idiot. You just like the challenge. Pokemon Pinball, I love this game.
Yeah, no, this is
I
your
actually
game
have kind
for
of a
sure.
funny story about this.
Ah, yes?
Because,
I'll pause.
so basically what happened, I believe it would have been Christmas 2003. I was asking my parents for Pokemon Ruby because I wanted it, because, you know, it was the new Pokemon game, it's Gen 3 and everything. I don't know if my parents got confused or if my dad got a deal on it, but they ended up getting me this pinball game. And I'm like, well, that's not exactly what I wanted, but I ended up playing it a lot. I'm really bad at pinball, so I never, like, got anything really good, but I had a lot of fun playing it, and then I just ended up picking Pokemon Ruby up with my own money on Boxing Day.
See, that's pretty funny. That is a funny story. I know you've told me that a couple times, I think. I don't know if you ever said it on recording, so...
I don't know if I ever said it on recording. I might have said it on the stream at one point. I'm not sure. But it was just one of those things where, like, yeah, that's kind of an accidental purchase, but I really like this game, and I'm really sad we never got another pinball game after this.
Yeah, same. I used to play the original pinball a lot. Never got Ruby or Sapphire, because that was when I fell out of Pokemon. But,
Yeah.
you know, yeah, you always made it sound really fun.
Yeah, I enjoyed it a lot. I just was never super good at it, so like, I caught a decent amount of Pokemon, never got anything super rare. I got really excited when my cousin managed to catch Kyogre. But yeah, I never got anything really all that good.
Now, WarioWare, I never really played much WarioWare, I'm gonna be honest. I always know people love it. Pokemon Coliseum. Here, now you bought this one recently, actually.
I got this one last year. It cost me about $200, and I got Gale of Darkness for roughly around the same price. I think that was $220. I have yet to play both of them, but I really want to sometime. Like, I might even do that in the next little while. I guess we'll see what we get up to, because I don't know if you'd want to play that as part of a recording, or if that would just be like an us game. We'll have to talk about that more.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
But I would really love to play both of them.
And then the remake of Billy Hatcher and the Giant Egg. So I want Billy Hatcher and the Giant Egg. This is actually one of my games that I really, really want to buy at some point.
Yeah, we've seen it quite a few times at our local game store. I think it goes for roughly about 100 Canadian right now. And I mean, maybe it will go down. I'm not sure. It is one of those games that wasn't printed all that much. I've heard it's really cool though, and you've got me really curious in it because you keep telling me you want it.
It's very unique. I really, really want Billy Hatcher. I'm noticing on the Game Boy Advance, by the way, a lot of kind of like remakes, right?
Yeah.
Or remasters,
it seems like it.
I guess. Not so much remakes, remasters.
I mean, I think it makes sense. You know, you take a classic game people like, you remake it for a modern audience on a portable platform, you'll probably get a lot of people buying the game.
Which Star Fox is this?
I was gonna say, I've never seen the Star Fox game before. I wonder if it got canceled.
It might have, because it just says Star Fox, so it doesn't even have like a proper title. And this would have come off of the heels of, what, Dinosaur Planet? What's the name of it?
Yeah, this would have come up right after Star Wars, or Star Fox Adventures, so this might have been in production before Microsoft bought Rare.
Yeah, this might, wow, this is interesting. So they had a Star Fox game in production, which kind of looks like it was going to go back to its roots a little bit. Well, kind of, because you have Star Fox out of the tank. You have another Star Fox right there in front, and now he's in the tank. So
I will say, looking at the gameplay and the animations, like even of just him running around, I wonder if they're using the same kind of engine they used for Jet Force Gemini, because the animations of him running and strafing and even like shooting look very similar.
It's very possible. This is
so
really
I wouldn't be surprised.
And you can see something here too. Actually, they're really showing off like, oh, you can shoot on the ground, right? It's not just vehicle combat anymore.
Yeah.
So they're doing kind of an FPS element. That's really interesting.
It's kind of a shame we never got this game. It would have been interesting.
That would have been really interesting. Yeah, I guess you're right. Maybe they were working on it before Rare got bought by Microsoft. That's crazy. I didn't even know about this one.
Yeah, I've never seen this one, and they still have some of the R-Wing combat. Okay.
Yeah, I wonder if that one was gonna try to be like in vehicle, out of vehicle, just overall combat kind of game. That's really neat.
Well, that's kind of why I'm thinking it was using the same engine as Jet Force Gemini, because they also had some vehicle combat, but it was mostly on the ground shooting.
Okay.
Has made Game Boy more popular
that's neat.
ever. More than 13 million Game Boy Advances have been sold.
Oh boy, it's my Game Boy Flip.
But not surprisingly,
dude, I love the Game Boy Flip. Okay, it's really good.
And who can blame them? But our strategy remains unchanged.
I'm not gonna lie, I kind of keep forgetting it exists. Until I go to the local game store and see they have like 5 or 6 of them. All different colors, of course.
Now this year we intend to capitalize on Game Boy in another way.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure if the SP or like the regular Game Boy Advance sold more.
20 games on the show floor that contain connectivity with the Nintendo.
I just remember it was a big deal because it was a portable console that had a backlight, which was really new at the time.
Now, another thing that will be shown on the show floor this year is Game Boy Player.
Ooh,
in the NOA territories and in Europe during the month of June. It's already launched and a great success in Japan.
We think that this is a great way for consumers to
Was
play
this
their Game Boy
actually a
games on their
success?
TV, and of course, there are
I
more
don't
than
really hear
1,000
talk of
Game Boy
it.
games already released.
I know you can use it with
The
like
e-reader, which
Pokemon
will launch last
Coliseum
fall,
and
is also another great aspect of our connectivity
what
story.
is it, Gale of Darkness?
This accessory for Game Boy
The
Advance
e-reader failed
allows
really hard.
consumers
I
to
remember
use
that.
data
Yeah,
from
the
special
e-reader
trading
failed.
cards
It's
to
a
load
fun
their games
idea, but
onto their GameCube
like maybe if they
or
were
onto
to do
their Game
something
Boy
like this
Advance.
now, right? Maybe it'd be a bit better.
When they load the games
Swap,
onto the
like,
Game Boy
trading
Advance,
cards
they can go
into,
ahead
like,
and
a Pokemon game or
exchange
something.
data
That'd be
then
kinda
with the
neat.
GameCube and extend their gameplay.
I mean, if they wanted to, they could do something very similar to this. Because,
Go
I
to the
mean,
next
even
slide.
if you look at Amiibo, we already have the Animal Crossing Amiibo cards, so they could very easily do the same thing with Pokemon if they wanted.
So,
Yeah.
I'm actually kind of surprised they haven't.
Same actually, right? Like maybe they will for Switch too. Maybe that'll be one of their new innovations. Reinnovate an
maybe.
old idea. I just want to point
I
out
don't
how
know.
awkward this is, by the way. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say maybe they haven't done it with Pokemon because of how like time constraint E3 or not E3, sorry, Game Freak has been with the Pokemon games. Maybe they haven't had a chance to implement a feature like this.
Maybe.
It's probably too much technical backend.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I'm gonna hit play like in a moment. I just had the sudden flash of like, you haven't seen Digimon Tamers, right? But
I have not.
But I have this like flash of like, man, it'd be kind of cool if you had a Digimon game with like the Tamers aspect where you can like swipe the card and it would like appear in the game like on your Digimon. That'd be pretty sick.
See, that'd be cool. I've always liked it when they did different mechanics like this. Like I remember when I played Spectrobes. I know that comes out years and years from now, but they had like these holographic cards that would come with the game, and they'd have certain points on the card where you touch on the stylus, and you would get the item in the game. And I think every copy of the game came with like 4 or 5 of these cards, and there was like a total of 16 or 20. So the
Mhm.
whole idea is people would get different copies of the cards, and you trade cards, get the items, get the Spectrobes. I thought it was really cool when I was a kid.
Yeah, I mean that does sound pretty cool. But yeah.
So like I could see them doing something like that, possibly. I don't know. I guess we'll have to see whatever they do with Digimon in the next few years.
Yeah, I don't know, because I just remember in the anime it was always like a very unique idea, especially for Digimon, where it's like, oh, the Digimon aren't just fighting. Oh, the Tamers are like swiping a card into their Digivice, and oh, he swiped a hammer, so now Terriermon has a hammer that he can use. It's really cool. Like it's a neat idea, right?
That does sound cool. See, when you were saying swiping cards, I thought it was more just summoning the Digimon and not necessarily like items or power-ups. But I wonder if they were trying to incorporate like more elements from like Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh! Then.
Well, I think part of it was just because the Digimon card game was like a thing, and the thing with
Yeah.
Tamers is so very not really spoilers for Tamers. It's like all literally in the first episode, and we'll get back to E3. I'm sorry, one sec. We'll get back
Yes.
to E3. But the thing with Tamers is Digimon is a card game. Digimon's a TV show. So Digimon aren't real, right? Quote unquote.
Yeah.
Until they become real. Because, etc. So
Don't worry about it.
So it's kind of the thing where it's like, oh, we play the card game, we watch the TV show, and now we have these cards, and it's like, oh, so they have like they're kind of just incorporating like the power ups from the card game, I think. Into it.
Okay.
Which is the unique thing about it.
That makes a lot of sense, because like I did play very little of the Digimon card game. We had like a couple starter decks. I don't know if we ever got any packs, but I do vaguely remember stuff like that. So yeah, it doesn't surprise me they would incorporate it into the show too.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry about that. We should probably continue E3. I'm sorry about my tangent.
Yes.
It just got me thinking about Digimon Tamers, and I love Tamers, and I really want to get Megan to watch Tamers with me one
Little
day.
tangent. It's a shame the e-reader didn't work, but I thought it was a cool idea. I think it was just very expensive.
Yeah, I think that's pretty accurate. Yeah, I just want to point this out. Just listen to this awkwardness, by the way. Like, this is why I brought it back here. It's like, give this a quick listen. Right.
Go to the next slide.
So, yeah, let's go to the next slide. Where is it? Where's the slide? Okay, never mind. I'm just going to talk now.
Through the e-reader.
Okay, that was funny.
About the connectivity is a very powerful one.
Well, someone got to write up later.
Definitely.
The most important story, of course, of connectivity.
It's like, you made me look like an idiot on stage.
Third-party developers. And one man is leading the drive.
I don't know, maybe they had to laugh at it later
relationship
about
with our
teacher.
developers,
But I mean, that's kind of the
and
thing
improve
too,
the number of
right?
things
Is
that we bring to
like,
our systems.
if the slides
That's our
aren't
president, to
working, you're
explore
gonna
our
look a little awkward.
I mean,
Oh,
a
I
little
wanna
bit. The man, the legend.
rest in peace.
Yeah. Was this the first year he was president?
And welcome.
I can check. I don't think so. I think he was
Next
president
week,
last year too.
it
Let me
will
see.
be 1 year since I
Okay.
became president of Nintendo.
Oh, it's been
Oh,
1 year.
1 year. He just said 1 year.
And in
Okay.
that time, a lot of people have given me their opinions on how Nintendo should change or not change.
Yeah,
That must
I
be
can see
rough.
it. I was gonna say, yeah, that'd be really rough. You probably have so many people going, okay, we need the company changing in this direction. No, we need to keep it
But
this the
also
same.
understand
And you gotta
that
make a
in
choice,
any
right?
business, new
And then if anything
circumstances
goes wrong, it's your
require
responsibility. It's just
Yeah.
like, like I understand why CEOs get the salaries they do,
And at the
but it's
start
just
of
like,
this year,
I couldn't handle that
Nintendo
pressure,
did
man.
face some challenges. The most obvious concern, Nintendo Gamecube. It had not sold through the way we planned, and its reputation among some players was unfavorable.
Yeah, that is true. Around this time,
Next,
because it was
primary
all about
software
powerful
that
consoles, right? The
supported
Xbox, PS2. So
Yeah.
GameCube
First half
wasn't
half of last year,
anywhere near
we
as
didn't
capable as
release
the other
enough
ones.
exclusive titles.
I mean, that's
Then,
fair,
in the
because this
second
was
half,
the
high-quality games
probably the
like Mario
first really
Sunshine
big
and
leap in
Metroid
terms
Prime
of like
did
graphical
not
fidelity
fully
and what
meet
you could
our
do on a console,
expectations.
and
Yeah.
like the Xbox
Third,
and the PlayStation 2 have already been
we
out
have
for a while
not yet
too.
demonstrated why connectivity
Yeah.
between GameCube
So,
and Game Boy Advance was
this is
an
kind of what
important
started
reason to
Nintendo's
buy.
current trend of we're not
We
the most
began to see
powerful,
worry
but
about
we have
GameCube
some unique
from
ideas.
some retailers
right?
and licensees.
Yeah.
And
I mean, it's
finally,
worked out well
as
for them.
always,
Like, it's still
there
going
are
strong.
yet another new
Yeah,
competitor
like,
to our powerful Game
They're
Boy
definitely doing good, but I do feel like this year in particular, they're probably a little concerned. They're like, we're not really
The
seeing what we
market
need.
itself faces important issues.
Well, they're not, and
For
you know,
many
they have the
years,
changeover
it
in
was
leadership,
easy to
and the market
interest
trends are
players
also
with
changing a
better
bit too.
graphics,
So
more
it probably
complex
was a pretty
challenges,
scary
and
time for them.
more mature
Thanks,
content.
Word
Yeah.
Art.
Each
Edgier.
of these was an
See,
open door
like this is exactly what it is, right? Like all of the other consoles
but
had these.
Each of those openings
Yeah.
is now starting to narrow. In this generation, we already have graphics so realistic that you might think you are watching television.
Man, nowadays it's so
So
different.
overall system does not
See, I was just thinking that. I'm like, what would
do not
happen
have
if
much
you
room
showed
to
them stuff
improve.
even from like the PlayStation 3 generation?
Most core gamers like you.
I don't. I
and
just I
me
find that aspect
love
of like
challenges
game development
that are
interesting
more
because I remember
difficult,
even as a
more
kid when I'm
time-consuming,
playing
and
stuff
more
like Crash
complex.
Bandicoot or Spyro, I'm
But
like, wow, this
how
looks
does
so
these
cool.
sub-busy
And it's just
Yeah.
like,
people who
yeah,
spend
I
most
didn't
of
know
their
how good
day
it would get.
working or going to school.
Yeah, like it's so hard to kind of look back at a lot of these and go,
As
man,
we witness the success
no
of
GTA, Vice City.
our
Yeah.
industry
Where
has
it's
to ask
like-
itself how much
Yeah,
further
like it's
we
so
are
hard to
willing
really even
go.
describe, like how you can look at say like Vice City and go,
TV
man,
and
this is like
movies
such a great
found
looking game.
their limits.
It looks so real,
So
right?
will we.
'Cause it doesn't anymore, but back then it
These
did,
challenges
right? Like it's
both
so hard
my
to explain for
company
someone that
and our
wasn't there at the
industry
time,
are
right?
considerable.
Yeah, I feel like it's one of those things where like you had to experience
But
it
I stand before you
when it was a
today
realistic
with a clear
or
message.
like a current
Of
day
course,
thing.
I want you
And
to
I mean,
know
yeah, you
that
can go back and
we
appreciate older
understand
games, but
these
I feel
challenges.
like to fully understand,
But this is
especially when it
not
comes to
a
graphical
matter of
fidelity,
understanding.
it's really difficult to do
This
if you
is a
didn't
matter of
grow up with that
action.
generation. You didn't
My
experience it when
real
it was
message
brand new.
today is at Nintendo,
Yeah,
we are not waiting
right.
to
Like even I
And,
can't
like,
really
I do-
understand
already
how I felt
acting.
back then.
Yeah, and like I would even say
The size
it
of our
to an extent
existing
when it comes to
creative
like
team in
PlayStation
Kyoto
4 and
has already
eventually
increased.
like when we get newer
And
consoles,
we are
PlayStation 5 and
also
such,
opening a new
right?
development
Like
Yeah.
office
I
in
imagine things are
Tokyo,
going to be so different,
our
especially when it
first
comes to
outside
VR
of
in
Kyoto.
particular. I think
Mhm.
VR in particular, like obviously
We
I never
also
played the original
have needs
PlayStation
for
VR, so I don't have
other
any
kinds
experience
of
with that.
games, one
But
that appeal
I
to
imagine
every
whenever we
kind
get
of gamer
PlayStation
and
VR
every
3,
kind of
assuming that happens,
taste.
like there'll be quite a big
For
jump.
these,
And like PlayStation VR
we are
2, from
turning
what I played, was
aggressively
really
to
cool.
our
I do need
great
to do more.
third-party partners.
Very
We
true.
are active
Very true,
here
right?
on many fronts. We are about to see the first product of our Triforce partnership
Like VR is
with
definitely going to be the
Namco
thing
and
that
Sega.
changes the
This
most
F-Zero
over the
game
next
will play both
next few years.
inside and outside
Yeah.
of your home.
I do find it interesting that they had like an official partnership with
arcades,
Namco and Sega at this
You
point.
can
I guess this
download
would have been right
options
after
to
Sega dropped
pay-per-view
out.
to build a custom
Probably.
racer like no other. Then bring that model back to the arcades to race against opponents. The talented designers at LucasArts have given us a beautiful exclusive, Rebel Strike. I will let the
Oh, see, I heard
tell the
Rogue
story.
Squadron is and well, Rebel Strike, I guess, is a very cool Star Wars game, very unique.
Rebel Strike is very fun. I do have this one, by the way.
Okay. Well, I might have to steal that sometime because I've never played it.
Please do. It's really, really good.
Factor 5.
What is thy bidding, my master?
Yeah, because I think this is the game where they're like, where one of the things was like, yeah, oh, you can be like on the ground, and you're not just
Yeah.
in the ship anymore. And to be fair, I don't actually remember how like cool or relevant or even good it is. It is just different, and it was like, whoa, you can do that, man. In the old ones, you're just in ships.
You know, I find it kind of interesting because even looking at a couple scenes we've seen him on the ground, and like even the animations of the ATST there, it reminds me a lot of like Battlefront 1 and 2. And like, I know it's not the same developer, but I wonder if they use very similar animations at the very least.
It's possible.
I do like how they're showing off a different variety of ships too. Like, man, I want to play as the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah, right. Like it is pretty neat.
Skywalker must not become a Jedi.
Yeah, so you can really see that they're really trying to show this off too.
Yeah, it's really cool actually. Because yeah, for the time period we didn't really have a Star Wars game like this.
Yeah, and then even just showing you like all the TIE fighters on screen at that one point too.
Yeah.
It's like they're really trying to go like, look at what we can do. And look at all these scenes from the movies that you remember. Well, you remember the scene from the movie? Right, like they're kind of doing that too, actually.
They are. They 100% are. It's just like, oh wow, we're in this scene. I'm surprised they didn't show us right inside the garbage compactor. But Star Wars has kind of always done that. Even when you look at stuff like The Force Awakens, there's so many references to the original movies.
Yeah.
Exclusive for Gamecube. You will be hearing more about this soon.
Thanks, Iwata.
In the fighting category, few names compared to Namco's Soul Calibur. There have been many
Soul
great
Calibur
versions,
2.
but you will see in a minute there is an exclusive one on its way to Gamecube.
Yes, so this is when they're doing all the exclusives. That's interesting.
Link.
This was a really interesting period with Soul Calibur too.
Giving us several
It's like, for each console, we're gonna give you a unique fighter, right?
Resident Evil franchise.
Ah,
Yeah.
classic right there.
A new version
One of my
is
favorites.
coming, an important step to expand
Sony
our
must have been so mad after this when they saw how well it did.
Oh, for sure. Oh, this is the beta stuff. This is stuff that never got seen. The stuff that never got released.
Yeah.
The RE4 was very different. Are we gonna see like the whole trailer? Yeah, we are.
Okay, that's pretty funny.
Hi, I'm Shinji Mikami.
The game was so different back
Recent
then.
rumors
It was much more
suggest
like Silent
I have been
Hill.
Fired. But I assure you, I am still happily working at Capcom. Most unfortunately, I am unable to attend E3 this year because I am so busy working hard on Resident Evil 4. Development of Resident Evil 4 exclusively for Gamecube is proceeding very smoothly.
Well, that didn't last very long.
So you should all be looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm not too sure why they changed direction with it so much. Yeah.
Coming along smoothly.
It's a very different game.
They are so original. They will blow your mind.
I don't know, it could have been them just adapting to new trends or stuff. Maybe they thought it'd be too generic or maybe behind the times, who knows.
I mean, maybe because it...
Don't pee your pants.
I will not pee my pants, don't worry.
Okay, that's really funny.
Yeah, cause you've seen some of RE4, right? A little bit, I presume. Like you'll see
I
just
played
how
a
different
little
this
bit of
is.
RE4 on the GameCube, and I've seen some stuff from the game.
So
I
notice
just haven't
how
played through it.
right. I'm sorry to
Yeah.
interrupt, but notice how like
Okay.
it's keeping like the camera angles the way it is. Like it's not behind the character.
Yeah.
It's still classic RE camera, and it's much more scary. But when you aim, you're behind the shoulder, right? So it's kind of this blend of like what it used to be and what it became, but it has a much more scary atmosphere than what RE4 had in our timeline, right?
So they changed it from being more of like a classic horror experience to more of like the action experience we got.
Yeah, more like action horror. Whereas this was just more like scary, like oh this is. But it's also very Silent Hill with its supernatural element to it. And there's a part of me that really wishes we got that RE4. But yeah,
I mean, it would have been really
RE4 is
cool.
really
I'm
good.
almost wondering if they changed direction on that when they saw how popular some FPS games like Call of Duty were at the time.
It's very possible. Do we know of these games? I mean, we know of Geist,
I don't
think.
I don't think I've seen these games. I'm not familiar with them.
Oh, I'm just gonna Google this real quick. This gives me a chance
Okay.
to talk about RE4 because there's like one more thing I want to say about RE4.
Okay.
And that is, I think the one issue I would have had with that version of RE4 is I think it made a game called, this is what I heard, I don't know if it's true, but I think it would have made a game called Resident Evil Gaiden canon. And Gaiden was one of the games on the Game Boy, I believe. And it was very much universally panned as being really, really bad. But I think the story to the original RE4 would have made it canon. I don't quite remember how. I think in Gaiden, like, Leon gets injected with something. And he starts, like, seeing stuff. And I think that's what the original RE4 was supposed to play off of. I'm not really too sure, to be honest. But yeah, okay. So N-Space looks like it was a studio. So it made Geist. So it made the game Geist. But N-Space was a studio. N-Space worked on a few Rugrats games, funnily enough. GoldenEye Rogue Agent, Call of Duty Modern Warfare on the Nintendo DS. So they did like a lot of DS ports for games. And they did the Hannah Montana, the movie, the game. So there's Battlefront Elite Squadron on DS. So they're not like a super great studio by the sounds of it, but they did last until 2016.
Okay.
And then they shut down for unknown reasons, apparently. Which is very mysterious. Okay, so I have seen Geist. I have seen the game Geist, because I remember the box art. But it's different from what they're showing here.
Previous game credit include
Got mixed reviews. So I've not played Geist. I think you like take over the bodies of people. And that's like the gimmick
cool.
of it.
Space began by doing work for America's space agency, but its newest work is a GameCube exclusive collaboration with Nintendo. In this frightening game, the spirit of your character invisibly moves to inhabit others, a true out-of-body experience.
Yeah, see, like it's a very unique idea.
That is a really cool idea.
I'll add it on the list of games to get, I suppose.
Yeah.
Just to be fair, I think I have like had an interest in Geist, but admittedly I did kind of forget about it.
I mean, there's so many different games. I don't blame you for forgetting about some.
And I'll never be able to play all of them. As has been my current existential crisis.
For many years,
That's kind of been my crisis too. I look at all the games that I've bought and all the stuff that I have like on Steam, and I'm like, I am never gonna be able to play all of these.
Yeah. This is Crystal Chronicles, by the way.
The result
It is.
the beautiful
That's kind of
GameCube
cool.
exclusive
Did this
Final
ever come out on
Fantasy
GameCube, or
Crystal
did this end up being delayed to the Wii?
As you and
This is
friends
GameCube,
set out to
I
renew
believe.
your life source, of course, some progress.
Okay, because I know they have the one version on the Wii. I just don't remember hearing about a GameCube version, so I'm just wondering if this is the same game that got delayed or not.
I think that may have been the sequel. I think they did have a sequel on the Wii.
Okay. Well, dang it, I might have to track this one down too.
Yeah, like I don't.
'Cause I mean,
Yes, go ahead.
well, as I say, because I have the digital version of like the Crystal Chronicles remastered, but I don't know if that'd be a remaster of this one or like the DS one.
It looks like it's a remaster of this one.
Oh, okay. So I guess I could just play that instead if I can't find the original.
You could. I did play this one a little bit. I don't think I ever finished it. I remember being okay. I don't think it was like anything to like be too amazed by, but I think it was okay.
Together, these partnerships makes us
Yeah,
stronger.
no, I mean that's fair.
We are delivering on our promise to create games for all ages, all nationalities, and all tastes. But of course, the work of all our partners must be matched by things.
Nintendo really never has changed from like that goal, is what I'm learning from this especially.
So I have asked one of our
Yeah.
developers to come out and show you a couple of things.
Who, a dev?
You might know him.
Whomst?
He's now in his 26th year at Nintendo. Please welcome Mr. Shigeru Miyamoto.
Yay! The legend. God, I really, Megan, 2024 has been such a weird year, especially when it comes to deaths in like the famous Japanese man community.
Yeah.
I'm scared that something's gonna happen to Miyamoto. I hope it doesn't, man. But damn.
Yeah.
And I hope to do the same this year with what I am about to show you.
But what's he gonna show us?
All of you who are here this morning are quite lucky. Again, this year, I'd like to ask my good friend from NOA and one of the best translators I know, Bill Toinen, to interpret for me.
Yeah, because Miyamoto was 71. Man, he's getting up there. I just want to see how old he was.
Yeah.
I've invited several friends with whom I'm currently cooperating on development to join us here today. Allow me to introduce the first of these, a longtime friend of mine from Electronic Arts, Mr. Will Wright.
Ooh, Will Wright. Oh boy. Man.
Great of the Sims.
Truly a good man. I do like Will Wright. I don't think he's like done anything egregious.
2000, Will made game
recently.
history when he introduced The Sims.
Oh, is this when we get like the GameCube ports?
It must
Since
be,
then,
yeah.
It's gone on to become, I think, the #1 PC franchise in history, selling
Yeah, The
something
Sims
like
was crazy, man.
in 75 countries around the world to 25
Big hit, so
million
unique, so
users.
different.
Despite his newfound fame, I'm happy to say that Will is still willing to work with a guy like me. This is our first project together in about 10 years. And we've actually
say, what did
decided
you
to make
work
a
on?
version of The Sims that is going to connect gameplay between the Nintendo GameCube
Like with
and the
Nintendo.
Game Boy Advance.
Yeah, okay,
I
so
hope
that
you
is
come here to
the
tell us a little bit
port.
more about that today, Will.
Yes, thank you. And I'll always answer your phone calls. Last year we released the Sims
I mean, it makes a lot of sense. I think in general, Nintendo's consumer base would probably really like a game like The Sims. It's very casual.
Oh
So-
yeah, for sure.
The GameCube to Game Boy Advance
Yeah.
connectivity. We thought about it and we thought this could work really well for The Sims. So now we're developing 2 new versions of The Sims as a result of this. First, we're doing a new, more expansive version on the GameCube, which you can see tomorrow on the show floor. And secondly, we're doing a completely redesigned version of The Sims, specifically for the Game Boy Advance. This is going to be the first time that we've taken any one of our Sim games to a handheld gaming platform. Both of these will be complete.
See, I'm very
standalone
curious
games.
on what
But when
Sims
you
and the
connect
Game
the
Boy
two,
Advance
there'll be a
looks
host of
like.
new features
I'm hoping
available
they'll show
both
at least a
sides.
little bit of footage.
New levels will appear
Hopefully.
both in the GameCube neighborhood and on the Game Boy Advance town. Sims can hop across from one system to the other either for short visits or to take up permanent residence. And GameCube Sims that entered the Game Boy Advance can play 10 action-oriented mini-games to earn you money and skills.
That's very interesting that you can take your Sims from both games.
You can also use the Game Boy Advance as kind of a transportation system that can hop on.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
Move to another GameCube, bring it to your friend's house. And finally, when you connect two Game Boy Advance versions of The Sims together, you can play kind of an action-oriented bidding auction game to win you objects on the GameCube. So I'm really excited that we have this opportunity to work with Nintendo and move the Sims franchise into a new direction. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, Sims had a really weird relationship with consoles, where they tried it for a bit and then they're just like, yeah, never again.
At Nintendo, we're really happy to be working not only with you, Will,
Yeah.
but the talented teams at EA.
Honestly, I'm not really sure why. 'Cause, I mean, it was decently successful. Maybe they just didn't like porting onto the different platforms.
I think it's just really hard to move a game like The Sims and port it to console, right?
And connectivity titles.
I think, maybe it would do a bit better now.
Take a look.
But I think back then it was just really hard. You had to change too much.
You'll see Madden, but
that's fair, because I mean they designed the gameplay experience around having a mouse, and I can't imagine, especially when it comes to building houses and stuff, would be as good with a controller. Like I know some games made it work, like Sims Urbs I played a decent amount of as a kid, and I mean that was mostly about your Sim personality and stuff. You decorate like your apartment or crib or whatever. But like, there wasn't a traditional house building system in that game.
Well, and that's kind of the thing too that I think is different. Oh boy, I remember that game. Because like I remember the Sims ports. I think they redesigned the games a bit for console. Because I think they're like console player. They want a story. They don't really want like just a sandbox, do whatever kind of game. Because I remember in the Sims port that they showed up here, I'm pretty sure the game starts off with you wake up in your your grandma's house, and your grandma's like, you gotta go get a job. So then you move out, and then it's all about like just going through the life stages, essentially. Right?
Okay.
Thank you very much, Will.
Where you kind of like build up and go to different houses. So I think it's a very kind of different experience. And they probably designed that for... Oh, I remember that from last year.
Actually, we've made some improvements to Four Swords.
Yeah, I mean, if they're doing that much work with it and changing that much, I could see why they wouldn't want to have it on console after that. Maybe it didn't even sell super well with all that work, too.
Yeah. Like, I just think they have the opinion of console players want something different. A PC player is okay with something sandbox and open, where you can just kind of do whatever.
Yeah.
First in this game, you're going to connect 4 Game Boy Advance systems to the Nintendo GameCube.
I still find it crazy that this game exists. Like, just the logistics of getting 4 people with 4 Game Boy Advances, a TV, and a GameCube. Like, it would be so difficult to do even back then.
Yeah, no, it would be pretty difficult.
Like, I love that they tried it. I've heard Four Swords is a really interesting game. I do have a version of it on my 3DS. But, I would love to play it one day. I just don't know if I'd ever be able to get a group together to play it like this.
It looks like Red Link has gone inside the house. He's vanished from the GameCube, from the TV screen,
like
and appeared on the Game Boy Advance screen where the gameplay continues.
It's
looks like the second, the third,
especially now it's gonna be really hard to get like more than 4. Like I would play it with you if you didn't mind 2 swords. But
yeah.
So we'll come back outside here.
Oh no, for sure.
Pew, 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 pew.
And as you can see,
I just love the idea that they did this because they wanted the Game Boy player to be a thing instead of just making like a 4-player co-op Zelda game on the GameCube.
Yeah, right.
So they go running along through the Game Boy Advance screen. It looks like the first person in there gets the treasure chest. And it looks like they've all come out back on the TV behind the house. And so then they move up above. Now here there's a cave. And it looks like, yeah, when they go inside the cave, they appear back.
I do like how for this one it's just like they just really showing off like, oh boy,
there's a block that needs to be pushed. And
Like,
it's the
whoa,
perfect size for
you're
four
on
people.
the Game Boy Advance now. Whoa, right?
Yeah.
As soon as they push it, you can see that hundreds of rupees are now falling.
I
on
mean,
the
the whole
TV screen.
connectivity of being able to connect between multiple devices like this, like, it's pretty impressive for the time. It was pretty rare to be able to connect, like, anything like this, really.
Including all of these Dark Nut nights.
I love how, like, the way they explode into the smoke is very similar to, like, the stuff in Wind Waker or even, like, Spirit Tracks, the Phantom Hourglass.
Yeah, right.
Now, the question I get asked most by all you media is, what's your favorite game?
By all you media.
And, I usually say Donkey
Yes,
Kong
we are
or
media.
Mario Brothers. But when I'm asked about others companies' games, I've always answered
Pac-Man.
Pac-Man.
Mean fair.
See, I'm a really big Pac-Man fan. And actually, I kind of I went and I made a Pac-Man game for Gamecube.
Ooh.
And to tell you the truth, since I still haven't gotten Namco's approval for this idea,
I like that idea.
I've actually invited a rather important individual.
We're just like, yo, I'm just gonna make a Pac-Man game, but I haven't gotten their permission yet. It just exists.
The creator, who I respect very much, Mr. Toru Iwatani.
I mean, it must have been early in talks. I mean, they have the partnership with Namco, so they probably thought they could get it to work eventually.
Probably, or he's making a joke. It could be either one, to be fair.
I mean, it's probably a joke, but I don't know. I like the idea where he's just like, yeah, you know, we can eventually convince them to do it.
I have a confession to make. You heard what I said, right? I'm a huge Pac-Man fan.
I do like the idea
I had this idea for
of
GameCube, Game Boy Advance connectivity.
just like
maze games.
ambushing someone at Namco with this idea, just going like, yeah, I made the
Pac-Man is
game.
the king of all maze games.
Can I have permission to like release it?
I really got this urge to turn it into a Pac-Man game, and I couldn't help myself.
I mean, to be fair, that's kind of what
I really like it
happened
if
a
we could
little
play
bit with
this together
Smash Bros.
today.
and HAL Laboratory, where they kind of made their own fighter, and then they just kind of put Nintendo characters in there and convinced Nintendo to make it a official franchise.
I mean, that's very cool if true, to be fair.
From what I remember, it was generic characters, and then they're like, you know what, we're gonna put in Nintendo characters in here and pitch it to Nintendo, and eventually that's how it's made. I'm pretty sure that's how it originally started.
That's pretty cool. Will Wright's getting in on it too. Nice.
Nice.
I like how he's still just like here.
Mr. Iwatani play on the Game Boy Advance first.
Yeah,
Player with the
I
Game Boy
mean,
Advance
I guess
controls
they didn't want to
Pac-Man.
call another person on stage. They should have got the translator to play though. That would have been funny.
Maybe it's too hard to play and concentrate on translating.
To control the ghost.
I mean, it probably would be. 'Cause, I mean, you're translating for two people there, at the very least.
So we'll have, looks like George is going to be red.
So three players control the ghost and one plays Pac-Man. That's kind of neat.
That is kind of
So as
cool.
soon as Pac-Man presses start, we can get...
Once again, though, a game you can't really play much unless you have like everybody. I guess.
Tell you what, if
I guess you could have like a couple
will you
people
approve this
control
project for me?
ghosts. Oh. Oh, come on, do it.
Oh, okay, press
Start.
I will say I do like how you have the option to use either Game Boy Advance as a controller or a GameCube controller.
Yeah.
Or I guess you have to be on the Game Boy
let's go,
Advance to
guys.
play
I gotta
Pac-Man.
win this.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Yeah, because we're just seeing the ghosts.
Oh yeah, because you don't see the Pac-Man screen.
Now, of
Okay.
course, Pac-Man leaves a trail behind him wherever he goes. So we have to look
See, I
for
don't
that.
know if I like the way they did the 3D ghosts in this. I think it looks a little weird.
A little bit. Oh, there he is.
Come on, George. You gotta say more in English, otherwise people aren't gonna know how much fun we're having. Where is he?
Where is he? Oh.
Oh, we
him.
got him. I like how this is basically a Mario Party minigame.
Kind of. Oh, and you get points too. Okay, that's interesting.
So now what we do is...
Oh, now you pass it around.
Oh.
Oh.
Okay, that's pretty fun.
That's a fun idea.
So now we have to chase after George.
This does just seem like one big mini game, though.
Okay, here we go.
It does.
I don't really blame it if it didn't sell well.
Yeah, I mean, I personally have never heard of it, so I wouldn't be surprised if it didn't sell well, but the idea of it's pretty fun.
I'll need to see if I can find it.
Now, unfortunately, we can't play this for too long today, because we do have other things to show you.
Oh, he stole points from him because he knocked him out.
Ah, okay.
So, can we get approval for this?
Yes.
One more round.
Okay, so it looks like it came out as Pac-Man Versus.
Okay.
Reception.
Will, thank you very much.
Pretty good. It got pretty high scores, actually, across, like, the board.
Yeah, well, that's good.
So, okay, I'm gonna...
Despite its praise, the game is criticized for its small amount of content and lack of memory card support.
But actually, I'm working with Mr. Iwatani and Namco on several other projects as well. Of course, we know in August that...
Well, IGN and GamePro found... so I guess Mario commentates the game? Maybe.
Oh, okay, that's funny.
Because it says IGN and GamePro found the commentary from Mario to be annoying.
Be able to launch Pac-Man as well.
That's fine.
Oh, it's a ghost!
See, this would be the kind of game I'd want probably purely just for the sake of collecting, right? So I have Pac-Man Versus.
So from Pac-Man to
Yeah, I think it's a cool piece of history, and it's kind of a shame we never really got more like this, but I kind of understand why people didn't.
Yeah, like it's kind of one of those games that definitely wouldn't be accepted now, just because it's like, oh, well, now I gotta buy the Game Boy Advance to play it. Right.
Yeah.
Maybe I didn't want to, you know. So either I'm not gonna play Pac-Man, or I need to buy a Game Boy Advance SP.
We're gonna have
Right.
one more Legend of Zelda-based connectivity software title on the show floor tomorrow. So please look for that one too. Finally, I have one more good friend whom I've invited today.
Whomst?
Konami. Please offer a round of applause for Mr. Hideo Kojima from Konami.
Hideo Kojima! This is interesting, actually. Is this Twin Snakes? This might be Twin Snakes. Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen Kojima and Miyamoto on the same stage.
I don't think I have either.
Mr. Kojima and I have known each other for a long time.
Oh, so I just looked it up because I was curious. It looks like the NA copy of Pac-Man Versus goes for about $18 USD complete.
Okay. So that's pretty cheap. That makes sense.
Yeah, so we could probably find it easily. I don't know about the Game Boy player we would need with it or the cords, mind you, but...
で今ゲームを作れてるのもこの会場でこうして入れるのもやっぱり宮本さんのおかげです。で僕20年前に宮本さんのゲームはマリオなんですけども、マリオに出会いまして、マリオに出会って今の僕があるっていう気持ちです。で、17年。
Yeah, I do like the idea that Miyamoto and Kojima just like occasionally hang out.
Yeah, you know, they're just casual friends.
Yeah, like I wonder if that's like a thing that even just kind of happens if they're like these big, well-known like kind of game devs, designers and stuff. I wonder if they like ever do just hang out, even if they're not like collaborating on something.
I wouldn't be surprised because I mean I imagine a lot of these people, especially in Japanese culture, probably meet each other through like different business meetings and whatnot. So even if it's just them going out to go get a drink or something together, I could see them doing stuff like that, as long as they're on decently friendly terms.
Yeah. Yeah, Twin Snakes.
I don't really see that happening in American culture, mind you, but...
Genes exist to pass down.
Now, this is a game that I know you said we should get at some point. I've not gotten it, just because I never cared for Twin Snakes. I never really had an interest in owning it.
All life is tethered to the future. Loving each other.
It'd be interesting to have and it'd be interesting to play. I just know it's really expensive now, but...
I just think it'd be a very unique experience, but yeah, finding it for a good price is going to be hard. It's pretty expensive.
Yeah. So for anybody that doesn't know, Twin Snakes is a remake of MGS1, GameCube exclusive. I think in general it's kind of considered like not the canon version of MGS1.
Yeah,
it's pretty different. It's also really easy because they bring in like modern game mechanics like aiming down sights. Which the original didn't have, but they keep everything the same, so you can kind of cheese a lot of bosses just by being able to do that.
Yeah, I could see that being a problem with a lot of bosses from what I remember in the game.
Yeah.
I don't know, I just think it'd be a fun experience, and I mean, you've shown me a couple cutscenes where they do some ridiculous stuff. It's definitely a lot more, like, movie action-based than, like, a stealth-type game like it was on the PS1. I just think it'd be cool to have and fun to play.
They just make Snake do a lot of really like superhero kind of stuff, which he doesn't do in the original.
Yeah.
So you know, I always thought it was ridiculous and not good, right? Personally.
Yeah, like I kind of get that. I just think it'd be kind of fun. Like I said, mostly for the novelty, just to kind of like play and laugh at it. Really.
Yeah, I get that.
I do like having those type of games sometimes. Like honestly, that's part of the reason why eventually I would like to pick up the Bouncer, just because I think it's a really quirky and really interesting game. And I know it's not good, but it's gonna be interesting to play and like kind of laugh at the cutscenes and stuff.
Yeah, I get that.
I had heard that the Metal Gear project was scrapped.
Oh, you're wrong. The nuclear threat hasn't disappeared. The threat is more real than ever before.
I like how it's got a little bit of footage from Metal Gear Solid 2.
Did it?
The terrorists are threatening the
I thought it did there.
They say
than ever before. The nuclear threat hasn't
let me
disappeared.
see. Yes,
the threat
you're
is
right.
more real than ever before.
Like that just looks like it's probably the title screen or intro movie, but
the terrorists are threatening the White House. They say if they don't accede to their demands, they'll launch a nuclear weapon.
I don't know what that is.
Palco number 2 confirmed.
Probably something Kojima just really liked.
We were
probably
exercises with a new type of experiment.
Or maybe something he worked on to some degree.
A truly historical weapon.
Eternal Darkness looks kind of nice.
Number 3 confirmed.
Oh, those
Maybe
boys are
that's
totally
interesting.
insane.
Showing Eternal Darkness.
Detonation code.
Maybe that's the company. Oh, is that the company that worked on it?
For launch.
probably.
Yeah, 'cause it was like.
How do I stop it? Damn.
Next, what was the name of it? Like Cube Inc. or something? That made.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I like how Snake's having trouble solving the GameCube there. That's funny.
That was pretty funny. Well, what is he?
Yes, that's it.
Oh.
That's it. Remember. I've been waiting for this pain.
Everyone always wants to use the newest, latest technology.
Man,
Why are you calling me brother?
I kind of feel bad, honestly. Because I like how they're just really trying to imply, like, everybody wants to see the latest. But nobody remembers Twin Snakes. Not even the series remembers Twin Snakes.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of the unfortunate reality when it comes to a series like that sometimes. You might have like a couple games that just kind of get lost to time.
Whoa, Eternal Darkness! We saw this one last year.
Yeah, we did.
The one where you owned me by me going like, oh no, it didn't go up during COVID years. And you're like, no, it did. The price
It went
of
up a
me.
lot.
And then
I
we
remember
looked,
because people
yeah.
were talking about it a lot, and I want to say it's somewhere around $200.
Yeah, like that's yeah, like you definitely owned me with that one.
With Miyamoto-san, and is very much
Yeah.
like working with Aristotle. Working with Kojima-san is like very much working with Socrates. So this kind of collaboration for us is the most exciting thing possible, and we really believe it will bring an exciting
Yeah,
experience.
I will say in like the modern era of video games, when I think of like
than that in itself, I think is the
someone that
relationship
like
is
is
being
a like a game
I really
creator,
think
right? Like a
sends a
face
strong
to a
message to
company,
the
and
future of the future
you know, just someone who you can
collaborations
see
to
really
Nintendo,
heavily ingrained with,
Konami,
you know,
and the future of
video games. It is Miyamoto, you know, like I can't really say like, oh yeah, the guy that invented the Xbox. You know, like I don't know who that is. I don't know who. I know what he's done. I don't know what games he's really been into. Yeah, and it's kind of same with Sony, right? It's like I can't really tell you someone who's like that memorable and that ingrained in that sort of like thing. You know what I mean?
Western developers and Eastern
Yeah, I
developers
think
in
that's
the
just kind of
concrete
how culture of like game development kind of changed from it
So using
being
this know-how,
dependent on
I
the
think there's a lot that you can
creator
look
or
forward to.
director of the game rather than just the
Collaboration
company
between
wanting to
Tokyo
be the one
and
responsible for
Kyoto
the game
and
itself, right?
Toronto
Yeah.
in the next Metal Gear
Because you
Solid
look at a lot of new games now, and yeah, they might mention there's a director on here, but usually it's a news story saying, oh, this company acquired this person. It's usually not in the advertising, unless it's like Kojima or someone really big,
So as you
like
can see, we've put together a broad
Tetsuya
and
Nomura and
exciting
stuff
lineup
like
for the
that.
GameCube.
Yeah, like you have like little kind of like people who are known for like I don't know, like certain individual games and stuff or series, like Kojima, like you said.
Thank you very much.
Or
Yeah.
you know, Yoshida with 14. But you know, with like one of the big companies like Nintendo, Sony, well,
Thank you, Mr.
PlayStation, I guess
Miyamoto.
Microsoft, Xbox,
Even after 26
it's only
years
really
with the company,
Miyamoto that really comes to mind, right? Who's like,
Yeah.
because the other, I guess, because Nintendo was like a game company
of everything
mostly, and then Sony and Microsoft kind of just like showed up, so they don't really have like that pedigree and history with it,
power of Game
right?
Boy Advance,
They don't.
For people, you know, like for the face behind the company, right?
power
Yeah.
of our partnership. Let's take one more look at this power in action.
What was Soul Calibur? I love the opening to Soul Calibur, by the way. It's really, really good.
Yeah, that's funny.
So if I remember my exclusives correctly, I think Soul Calibur 2 had Link on GameCube, which they showed. Spawn on Xbox? I think it had Spawn on Xbox. And I think on PlayStation it had like... I'm trying to think. Who did it have on PlayStation? I almost want to say it had like Darth Vader, but I think that may have been Soul Calibur 2, actually. Or 3, I mean.
Wasn't that 4?
It may have been. I'm not really too sure.
Because from what I remember Soul Calibur 4, I think Darth Vader and Yoda were like exclusive characters in those.
I believe so. Also, this is one of the games I need to play.
Yeah, I do have the remake, so you can play that whenever.
Oh, it was Mishima from Tekken.
Ah, okay.
And then Spawn. And then Soul Calibur Legends, it had Lloyd Irving from Tales of Symphonia.
Yeah, I always thought that was really funny.
And then on 4, it had Darth Vader, Yoda, The Apprentice from Star Wars The Force Unleashed, and Angol Fear, who I don't know who that's from. Sergeant Frog, I guess.
Ah. The Hobbit.
Yes, this would have been that bad Hobbit game, I think. I think the one that you kind of mentioned last time.
Okay. I just
The one
didn't remember
that's-
the Hobbit game.
Okay. Or no, wait. No, yeah, that's not the one you're thinking of, actually. I know which one you're thinking of now. But yeah, no, they had a Hobbit game on yeah, which I heard was really bad. Not really that good. Really buggy. I know they ran it like a GDQ once, and
yeah.
He's like, yeah, you're at the start of the level, and then you clip through the wall, and now you're at the end, and that's how we do this bit. And I think he just made like a lot of references to like how you don't want to really play the game. What?
Well, I think Everything or Nothing was the other James Bond game I played, because I remember that scene like at the beginning of the game where you were rappelling down the side of the building.
Okay, that's pretty cool then. Well, I'm glad we found out.
Yeah.
Also, 1080 Avalanche. I love 1080 Avalanche.
See, I never played this one.
The final level is very much like badass, but also very like, you know, copywritten, because he uses a very copywritten song that plays when you finish it. It's really epic, because it's like, yo, going down a mountain, and then you like jump into a helicopter. And then it replays, and then it does a cinematic replay of your whole descent down the mountain while an avalanche is after you. And it plays a copyrighted song in the background. Very, like, rock, right?
Okay.
And it's like, damn, that's badass, but, you know, it's very copyrighted. Right? That's kind of one problem with it. If I ever play that on, like, something, I can't show that.
We will build on it in the month
This is the whole song too.
as always,
Oh.
Nintendo will prosper
That's kind of a
as
shame.
we move into the true mass market. Nintendo has never been more focused, never more determined, never more willing to take risks, and we will not retreat.
That's true. Nintendo probably is the company that still even takes like the most risks in terms of what they try.
Oh, for sure.
Successor
Yeah.
to Nintendo Gamecube is already in development. And this time, we will not give our competitors a head start reaching the market. We are going to do it our way. And
That's true, actually, because we came out before everything else too.
It did, because it came out in 2005, right?
Yeah. So this definitely rings true. They were like, we're gonna get ours out first. We're not gonna let the other companies have the head start, and they did it. And it was a big
We
success.
received hundreds of inquiries worldwide from the media in recent
Good job,
weeks,
Nintendo.
and we tried to select some of the best that represent the most
Yeah,
frequently
no, they
asked
definitely
questions to answer for you here today.
they definitely had a big advantage in that generation. Because I mean, they had the cheapest console. They had a gimmick with the console that appealed to a lot of casual people. But then you also had to contend with stuff like the PS3 being insanely expensive for launch, and the Xbox 360 Red Ring of Death.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that helped them a lot, especially at the beginning of the console race. And then the Wii U happened.
Get started with,
Yeah, we'll definitely get there.
given Sony's announcement earlier
We
today.
will.
But given the Sony's announcement of the PSP, what will Nintendo do to ensure continued third-party support for the Game Boy Advance, and what changes might you make to your strategy in order to maintain your leadership position in the handheld market?
What?
This is about handheld.
Well, this is
strategy,
like
so I
when they
think
kind
Mr. Iwata
of.
should answer this question.
Well, I don't know if it's like when the DS came out or if it's like right now, but like they do mention that like in the future they will keep up the Game Boy Advance, and then they did it for about a year and then pretty much dropped support for the Game Boy Advance.
I see.
But they had like a intermediate console, I believe, the Game Boy Mini or something like that. I can't quite remember, but it
That
failed
sounds
pretty
about
hard.
発売されるということと、それから値段も何もまだ発表されていない。ただ、いろいろな機能を詰め込んだ非常にソニーさんらしいマシンだなと思いました。
Also, after seeing like all these Nintendo directs with Iwata, it's kind of weird to me actually hear him speak Japanese because he speaks in a very different tone and like
But I think the fact that that's,
I don't know, I guess
the launch date for that is Q4 of 2004.
speed in particular,
they haven't announced a price point.
pacing.
That is true.
The fact that they have included all of these different elements to it and connection features seems very Sony-like to me.
今は
Very Sony-like.
マーケットのハンドヘルドのマーケット
Yeah.
ほとんど全て
But yeah, I know that's very common when people speak in second languages, but just because I've heard him so much in English, it just feels wrong to me.
ただもちろん
I mean, that's understandable.
魅力的な遊びをお客さんに提供できるように努めていきたいと思います。
Now, because I think that we are essentially in control of the handheld market at this point in time, we don't feel that there's anything in particular that we need to be worried about right now.
That is true.
Essentially,
That
what we're going to
remains.
continue to do is what we do best, and that's innovate, provide innovative games.
True, because I mean they did sell quite a bit during the
next
DS
question comes
era,
from Jeff Keighley
but the
with Business
PSP was pretty popular
If
too.
Nintendo
Like,
continues to pursue its current strategy, which eschews
Hold on, Megan. Did we get a young
Yes.
Jeff Keighley mention?
did we?
We did, actually. Hold on. Finish your thought, and then I'll go.
Okay, well no, I was just gonna say because like I guess maybe they ran into more competition than they thought they would in the DS generation, and then everything happened.
Maybe. Okay, so let's give this a listen here.
And new forms of fun.
The next question comes from Jeff Keighley with Business 2.0.
Jeff Keighley with Business 2.0. Man, so he would have been working at like a game, I guess, magazine. But
Yeah, I think
certainly
he was
wouldn't
doing
have
that for a
been-
long time.
He certainly wouldn't have been like, whoa, hey, it's Jeff Keighley, it's that guy. I know that guy, right?
Yeah,
Man,
for
crazy.
anybody unaware, he has hosted the Game Awards as like a show presentation for about 10 years now.
Yeah, like that's like his show too now, right? Like it's crazy.
Yeah.
Like Jeff Keighley is like super, super well known. Some love him, some hate him, but a dude is definitely like a legend in his own right,
Yeah.
I was kind of curious, like when he worked at Business 2.0. I was kind of curious. He's like, So here, for GameSpot when MGS2 came out. Worked for Electric Playground. Okay, so he would have had like a TV show in 2003 at some point. That's interesting. So he was getting up there. He climbed the ladder, but he still wasn't like the Jeff Keighley, right?
If Nintendo continues to pursue its current strategy, which eschews media convergence in favor of pure gaming, does the company realistically think it can be the market share leader in future console generations, or is Nintendo satisfied being a small but profitable niche player?
I think that's a question I can probably answer. Actually, we believe that the further our competitors move away from pure gaming into these other capabilities, the more we are going to be strong. We know that we are the best developer and hopefully the best inspirer of creative gameplay. And we think that by focusing on those types of things and creating a value-oriented game console system that we can succeed not only now with GameCube, but also in the next generation.
Also true.
The next question is from Frank Catalano, a technology industry analyst. Nintendo has tried to age up the GameCube by introducing games for an older audience. How successful has this been, and how much of an emphasis will be placed on this in the next year?
I think I can answer that question also. Well, people tend to forget that already of our GameCube owners, 40% of them are over age of 18. So it's a very, very powerful audience. We've made some great strides here in adding games to our own core portfolio with things like the Resident Evil franchise and many things you saw today like Metal Gear Solid and others. But one of the things we can't forget, though, is that great games like Mario Kart and some of our franchise games really do appeal to a wide audience. So we think we're adding to our portfolio, but still building on our strength of our core franchise characters.
That next question is from Stephen Kent, a freelance industry reporter. Has Nintendo discovered the internet yet? Will we see GameCube connect to anything more than Game Boy Advance?
Man, that's harsh.
I think that's really more of an online or connectivity type question, if Mr. Wada would want to answer that one.
まず最初に申し上げておきますけど、私はネットワーク技術をゲームに応用することには別に
I do find it funny even back then that they were kind of digging at Nintendo for being behind in the times.
Nintendo does not feel that network technology is incompatible with gaming. We don't think that's the case at all.
ただこれだけ多くの人が次はオンラインゲームだといいろんなチャレンジをしているのになぜ誰も大儲けしてないのかって考えるとやはりビジネスモデルの構造そのものに問題があると言わざるを得ないと思います。
I think really the fact that we've had so many people working so hard on online games for so long, and yet we've really failed to see a killer app that's really boosted online gaming the way we would have expected by now, really raises questions about the fundamental business structure of online gaming.
だから私は毎月お金をお客さんからいただかなくても、できるようなネットワーク技術の使い方はないのかっていうことをずっと考えてまして、そういうことをですね、近い将来皆さんにお話できたらいいなと思って研究を続けています。
So we at Nintendo have been and will continue to research ways that we can use online features in games without having to rely on this existing business structure of charging people monthly for this type of service. We'll continue our research, and we hope to be able to tell you all about something.
So they did keep the thing about not charging people for a long time.
They did.
Next question was anonymously asked. What are your unit projections by territory for this fiscal year, and are you confident?
Honestly, I kind of wonder if part of that was because of Iwata's influence, because they only really started charging for online on the Switch like after he was passed away.
It's possible. It's possible that he was one of the champions for keeping online free. I do feel that Nintendo Switch Online is better now that it's been a paid service, which only makes sense. Right?
Yeah.
Well, we're going to be announcing our final fiscal results next week. So unfortunately,
yeah, no, for sure. It's definitely better quality, because even on the Wii U, from what I remember hearing and my little bit of experience playing stuff like Splatoon, it did feel kind of choppy, disconnected quite a bit. And I mean, I've had some issues with Splatoon on the Switch in particular, with Splatoon 2. Splatoon 3 worked perfectly fine most of the time, though.
Yeah.
But that might have just come down more to my internet connection at my house, not the correct ports open or something, I'm not sure.
20 million Game Boy Advance hardware units within the coming year, and we think that those goals are definitely within our reach.
This next question is from Edward Wu with Wedbush Morgan Securities. What is the outlook for console and software pricing for GameCube and Game Boy Advance?
I think I can answer that question. We'll start with software. we believe that software pricing can stay where it is with really great first releases on GameCube coming at $49 and the Game Boy Advance titles coming at $34 or $39. So we don't see any risk there to our first-party titles. In fact, as we look at software pricing, we've seen some erosion in the unit prices, but the overall dollar spent on software has been up in the first quarter. The question about consoles is one that I'm sure has been on everybody's mind. Right now, we feel very comfortable with the Nintendo GameCube at $149 with a free game offer that we can compete. We're going to be considering other promotional types of opportunities.
$149. That's crazy.
We're confident that what we've heard from our competitors at this E3,
Yeah,
that'll put us in very good shape.
Relatively cheap, actually.
And that is it for the Nintendo E3 press conference. So, I liked it, honestly. And honestly, part of what I like about it is just how much of it, in hindsight, really continued ringing true, Like,
yeah, it's kind of interesting.
Like, we're gonna beat our competitors to the punch. They did it. Huge success. We're gonna keep online free while we try to figure some things out and, like, test market stuff. They did that. Right?
Yeah.
Like, not everything is a total hit, like, Twin Snakes, but, I mean, they showed off a lot of really good games as well, and it was kind of neat to see more, like, of the Star Fox beta, whatever that could have been. Resident Evil 4, right? Beautiful Joe. I mean, Beautiful Joe is, very well loved by people.
Yeah, because even looking at this list of, like, Nintendo games here, a lot of these are pretty well-beloved games. Like, Double Dash is there, you got Pikmin 2, you got Donkey Kong Country, Metroid Prime 2. Like, we obviously didn't see the Star Fox game.
Yeah.
And, I mean, like, Metal Gear, I feel like I know it's not as popular, but I feel like it's decently well-regarded. And then, obviously, stuff like Beautiful Joe is considered a classic of the GameCube, and Resident Evil 4.
Yeah.
So, like, they had a lot of good stuff this year.
Yeah, like, I will say this, out between Sony and what we've seen with Nintendo, I feel like I saw more games that I'm personally interested in from Nintendo, and more games that I know took off, right?
Yeah, I think I would agree, because, I mean, like we saw, Sony's conference was mostly talking about network capabilities with the network adapter and introducing the PSP and the iToy.
Yeah.
And I mean, maybe we'll see more when we get to the show floors, because I mean, there's a lot of decent games that came out that year from what I remember, but it didn't seem like it was part of their conference specifically.
Yeah, it seems like the two conferences so far have been a lot about, like, the technologies that are kind of going to be coming out. I think for the moment, Nintendo is, like, above Sony for me personally, just because they showed more that I know I'm really into. And that I do like, or stuff that did become huge hits, like Beautiful Joe, which I've never played. But I know Beautiful Joe is really big, right? Really popular.
Yeah, no, for sure. And, like, that's kind of my opinion right now as it is. Maybe that will change a bit once we see more of the show floor stuff.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think in terms of, like, presentation, Nintendo's definitely makes a lot more sense. Because they didn't really have a lot to show with the PSP, and, I mean, we have hindsight. We know the iToy didn't really do super well. It's a really cool technology for the time, though.
It is. It's cool technology for the time.
Like, I think it's just one of those things where, like, it didn't really get enough software to really go with it that people liked, so the iToy kind of fell out of favor.
Yeah. That sounds pretty accurate.
I think it's cool.
Okay. So I guess we'll have to see what our opinions are when we do the Xbox presentation.
Yeah.
Because that's going to be really fun. I know I have a few things I'm probably going to say about that, particularly when it comes to, once again, Halo 2, which we've spoken about before. So I'm actually really excited to see that one.
Yeah.
All right. So I guess that is it. Of course, as always, link in description for the video if anybody else wants to check this out, just because, we're going to talk over it. That's just kind of the whole point of this. So if there's something you want to hear specifically, go check this out, right? It's very... very worth it. Yeah. Right. So I guess that's it for this one then. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, overall, I think it was a good presentation, and I'm looking forward to seeing the Xbox one.
All right, excellent. And in that case, thank you very much, everybody, for watching. We hope you all enjoyed. But for now, it is time we cue the outro. So Frag out, and we shall catch you guys later.
Bye.